I am continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a bit as I move along. So we are reading in Esther still. The decree has gone out to kill the Jews, and Esther has agreed to go into the king at the risk of her own life. Very famous story. So now we are in chapter 5. The king receives Esther. She invites him and Haman to a banquet. Haman plans to have Mordecai hanged. Now it came to pass on the third day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house over against the king's house. And the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house over against the gate of the house. And it was so that when the king saw Esther the queen standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight. And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter. Then said the king unto her, What wilt thou, Queen Esther? And what is thy request? It shall be even given thee to the half of the kingdom. And Esther answered, If it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him. And then the king said, Cause Haman to make haste, that he may do as Esther has said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared. So just to make sure we understand this, to enter the inner court without being summoned was a death sentence, unless the king held out his scepter. Now by holding out the scepter, this is the king giving a physical, visual sign that he is, in a sense, pardoning the person for entering without being summoned. Esther comes in, she doesn't just run up to the king, she just walks in and stands there on the edge of the court. And when the king sees her, he holds out his scepter saying, Yes, she's my queen, come on in. And this is the proof that there is no falling out. She's not in disfavor. He has no hesitation accepting her entrance into the court. And then he says, I'll do anything you want, even give you half of my kingdom. Now, I think this is a bit more hyperbolic than literal, but you get the point that he is still favors Esther highly. And now she invites him and Haman, and then she says that this is in Haman's honor. She's throwing a banquet for Haman to honor him. And immediately the king snaps his fingers, says, Go get Haman, we're going to a banquet. Verse 6. And the king said unto Esther at the banquet of wine, What is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? Even to the half of the kingdom it shall be performed. Then answered Esther and said, My petition and my request is, if I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king has said. So they go to the banquet, and the king, while he's drinking, says, Okay, so what did you want? The king knows that the banquet wasn't the actual request. The banquet was just kind of butter him up. He understands this. He says, Okay, what's your request? And she says, Well, if you come to the banquet again tomorrow, then I'll tell you. She's really kind of setting this up. And in some ways, I think it is Esther kind of building her own courage. She's still a little hesitant to make it known. For all this time, she has not told anybody that she is a Jew. And this has been 7 years now. Well, 5 years. This is, I believe, in the 12th year now. And so it was in the 7th year she became queen. It is 5 years later. She has not told anybody she's a Jew. Now she has to reveal her secret. And it's a little daunting. And so she's building up her courage and buttering up the king. Verse 9. Then went Haman forth that day joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up, nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai. Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself, and when he came home, he sent and called for his friends, and Zeresh his wife. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches, and the multitude of his children, and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king. Haman said, Moreover, yea, Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared but myself. And tomorrow I am invited unto her also with the king. Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate. Then said Zeresh his wife, and all his friends unto him, Let a gallows be built of 50 cubits high, And tomorrow speak thou unto the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet. And the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made. So we see again just how evil Haman is. Haman is he's showing off his riches, his glory, his honor, everything the king has made for him. He even brags that of all the people in the court, the only person that was invited to eat dinner with the king and queen was himself. And yet he has no joy in it, because his anger and hatred of Mordecai is so strong that until he slakes that thirst for blood, he can take no joy in anything. This is an evil man. And so his friends and his wife, they don't counsel him that he's being an idiot, that he needs to just let them know. They say, oh no, let's build this giant gallows, 50 cubits, that's 75 feet high. This is to hang Mordecai so that the entire city, no matter where you're at in the city, you'll be able to see him hanging there because he's that high up in the sky. This is an evil man. This is a great lesson in how anger, hatred, resentment will destroy you. We pick this up in chapter 6 next, so we will see you there.